everyone. Glad to have you with us. Settle in. Check out our beautiful slide. We've got a hashtag and everything, as all great events should. My favorite thing about this slide is the color coding. I was tempted to go blue and orange with my outfit, but I've gone blue and pink instead. But I've got the slide in the background. Hopefully people can see that. We'll be ready to go in just a sec. I'm just watching the number climb. I want to make sure nobody misses the beginning. Hi, everyone. I can see people talking in the chat already. That's always nice to see. Excellent. Good to see Alison welcoming everybody.
I'm excited.
Good. This is exciting. It's always so great to see everyone chatting together. I think that's my favorite thing about this event, seeing people meeting and talking. Excellent. Oh, we've got 70 participants now. I'll give it another minute and then I'll do the hellos. Everyone else is saying hello for me. I'm even getting a targeted hello. Hi, Natalie. Nice to see you. Excellent. Cool. So I am going to get started in just a sec. So if you've read the slide, you can see there's a hashtag on there and instructions for how to use the Q&A box to ask questions. I'll be repeating that throughout, so don't worry if you missed that. And you're all familiar already with the chat box, so I'm sure I don't need to tell you how that works because you're all talking in there already. But hi, it is great to see so many people here. Welcome to the second showcase of the West Midlands Creative Scale-Up Programme. I'm Jordan Erica Webber, and I am absolutely delighted to be your host today for a second time. We are now live and we are recording this session, just a heads up. And I'm sure you're all familiar with Zoom, so you know the rules. If you're not speaking, then make sure you're on mute, although obviously feel free to chat in the chat box. So this event is about 90 minutes and we are going to be celebrating Cohort 2 of this program. That's why we're here. We'll be getting to know more about these fantastic businesses with some really fun videos that have been made. And we're going to talk through some of the themes that have been really key to this Creative Scale-Up program. So we're going to talk through pitching and networking, going to look at all things legal, and everyone's favorite topic, value and pricing. So if you set your Zoom to gallery view, so if you see the words gallery view at the top of your screen, then you can click on that and you should be in gallery view. Everyone you can see on the screen will be taking part in these discussions, including, which is awesome, several people from Cohort 2. We also want to hear from the audience as well. So if you have a question, type it into the Q&A box. And if you see another question in there that you think, oh, that's a good question, I want that one answered, then you can vote for it and it will move it up the list. I will be keeping an eye on the questions and some people will be helping me out as well. So if you want to be helpful when you're asking your question, make sure you put who you are and where you're from if you're part of the program, so the name of your business, and also who your question is for. That's really important. As a little bonus for this celebration, everyone involved in Cohort 2 should have received a special goodie bag featuring bespoke Creative Scale-Up Program notebooks. As you can see, mine is a very sophisticated navy in color. Alison has the teal color. We also have an orange one. So if you've got one of the colors that I haven't got, I would love for you to take a selfie with your notebook and post it on social media so that I can see it. as you do, smelling the paper because it's got that nice new notebook smell and really great paper feel. I write with a fountain pen, so I'm excited to test that out for myself. And if you check out the envelope at the back as well, you've got these special contact booklets for cohort 1 and 2. So you'll be able to continue your networking and generally stay in touch with the people from cohort 1 and 2, which is what this is all about. So before I hand over to Fiona Latter, who is the Creative Scale Up Program lead, if you do want to post on social media, including a selfie with your notebook during the showcase, then please use the hashtag WMScaleUp, and make sure to follow our page on LinkedIn as well. So you can find that by searching for West Midlands Creative Scale Up Program. But Fiona, it's time for us to hear from you.
Hello there. Hi, everyone. And I'm so pleased to see so many people on today's webinar. So thank you very much for joining us the Thursday afternoon. So the main purpose of today's session is really just to kind of say thanks and to celebrate some of the wonderful businesses that we've had in cohort 2 of the Creative Scale Up program. And I really want to pay tribute to the businesses on cohort 2, because when they signed up for this program, it was, you know, very hard to imagine the situation we would subsequently find ourselves in. And I think we had our first I think at least one cohort had their first meeting literally about the second day of lockdown. So really want to sort of, pay tribute and say thanks to cohort 2 for being so kind of agile and adaptable to, changing external circumstances. And I think everyone just really embraced, online workshops and Zoom really, really well. I think it's alluded to in one of the videos, one of the businesses, it was their first ever time using Zoom was at the first cohort meeting, but everyone just seemed to have embraced it really, really well. And I think you guys are so great, and I'm so looking forward to the videos and some of the discussion that's going to follow today. So as I say, really hope everyone's had their notebooks today. If anyone hasn't, let me know. We do have a couple of spare ones left over. These were designed by TPS Squared, if anyone's interested. They're a fantastic company, actually in cohort 1 of the program, based just near Wolverhampton. So yes, if anyone would like to take any more orders from them, I'm sure they'd be really happy and delighted to do that. So just to give you a little update of where we're at, so today is the end of cohort 2. So as I say, we're looking to kind of celebrate and talk about some of the great success stories we've had with cohort 2. We're just about to move on to cohort 3. So that will be, first meetings of that will be starting in September. We've also got cohort 4 starting in October. So we've got a very busy schedule, actually. We've got 2 cohorts running simultaneously. So lots of activity on the Creative Scale Up program. We've also just recently introduced a newsletter, which I think you should all have had the first copy of today. So that's how we're going to be sort of communicating from now on, as well as our LinkedIn pages as well. So if you're not on our newsletter or our communication channels, please let me know, and we'll make sure that we put you on there, because we just want to make sure you're up to date and kept up to date with some of the great stuff that we've got going on. And just in terms of future planning, so we're in pilot stage at the moment, but we're having some very encouraging conversations with DCMS, who are my funders, about a possible 3-4 year extension to this program. So that would be just fantastic, I think, if we can get that, and just so well deserved. And what's been so great for me is the success stories and the positivity that's come from this program, I think will make it a very easy case to answer, actually, as to why we should have another 3 or 4 year extension. So anyone wants to have a chat with me about any of those things, please come and chat to me offline. But yeah, without any further ado, I think I'm going to now head off to the rest of the webinar. So our first session, I'm going to be handing over to Mike Pagan, aren't I? So our first session is we're looking at pitching and networking, and I think we're going to videos first, or we going to go to videos?
Yeah, we'll watch some videos first.
Please find enclosed 3 videos from some of the fantastic businesses that we've had on cohort 2.
Thank you so much, Fiona. If it looks like I've been looking down at my phone, I've been checking out the hashtag. A shout out to Waypoint, who tweeted about how great the event is, and to Taran3D, who took a picture of the teal notebook for me so that I could see what that looks like in a picture. If you have been following all things Creative Scale Up on social media, you will have seen a little preview of the videos that we're about to see, which have been produced about the Cohort 2 businesses. So we're going to show all of these videos this afternoon, starting with 3 businesses that are very different: Pentabus Theatre, Waxter Animation, and Griffin Productions.
I'm Catherine. I'm the Executive Director at Pentabus Theatre. We're based in rural Shropshire and we tour new pieces of theatre across the UK.
This is a huge moment for me. That does not do it justice.
Pentabus was set up in 1974 to serve the 5 rural counties of the West Midlands, hence Penta, and they used to tour around in a bus, hence Pentabus. What really appealed was the fact that Pentabus doesn't usually have these opportunities because of where we're based. The first cohort meeting that we had actually was on the 2nd day of lockdown. It was on Zoom, which was my first ever Zoom meeting. That was a kind of like a big step. What's been really fantastic is the connections that we've been able to make with other creative West Midlands organisations. We're a small arts charity. We wouldn't have been able to afford to take part in it if we'd have had to pay. The opportunity and the kind of breadth of the workshops, from social media to how to get back into the office after COVID, is brilliant. After going on the Creative Scale Up programme, I feel that Pentabus is more prepared for the future and just more resilient.
I'm Philip Ingalls. I run Waxter Animation based in Kidderminster. We help companies in the services and engineering sector explain the value of their products and services more effectively through the power of animation. Waxter has been involved in quite a few scale-up programs, but what was really unique about this one and which really attracted us was the fact that this was about creative companies and the way creative companies think and the type of solutions creative companies are looking for. All the workshops gave us ideas and strategies we would never have even considered before. And that allowed us to ground all those ideas into a proper business plan. The networking opportunities were invaluable because we could work with other creative companies that had the same problems and learn from them. I'll definitely recommend this creative program. It's an absolute no-brainer. I had so many light bulb moments. It was literally like a strobe light was going off inside my head. The key takeaway really for us is the fact that it completely transformed our business into something that we wouldn't have been able to imagine before we started this program. Waxter Animation, not for grumpy people.
I'm Bernie, co-founder and producer at Griffin Productions. We're a video production agency based in Birmingham. We've been going for over 12 years, producing amazing branded content for a range of industries. The Creative Scale-Up programme has been really eye-opening, so diverse in terms of the range of workshops, the mentors that we have access to, and of course this new network of peers. We are in the same position, we share a lot of the same stories, a lot of the same struggles, where we've been able to cheerlead each other and advise on situations in business has been really beneficial. The pricing workshop was really useful. It's given us some tools to redesign our quoting process and adopt pricing strategies that will really help our bottom line. The future for Griffin Productions is looking really great. We've taken so much learning from the programme. There really is no stopping us.
I really love watching those videos. It's great, especially to see the variety of creative businesses that take part in the program. And I think it's interesting the mention of COVID there. Obviously, that's been a huge issue for businesses all over the country of all different kinds. But I have a sneaky feeling that creative businesses are especially good at pivoting and adapting to circumstances like this. And I think that's really shown out in the program as well. It's also great to have the tech to be able to watch these videos on Zoom. Thank you very much to Mark for making the magic happen. If you do want to watch them back later in your own time, you can find them on the West Midlands Creative Scale Up Programme LinkedIn page or on YouTube. You should also receive an email with a link that you can click for easy viewing. So we have got 3 great discussions coming up, And we're starting with a crucial part of the Scale Up program, which is pitching and networking. And I am delighted to be joined by our Scale Up mentors, Mike Pagan and Alison Grade, as well as Layla Hashim from Sundragon Pottery and Malcolm Barnes from Hollywood Gaming. Before we hear from them, if you have any questions, please type them into the Q&A box. And if you see a question that you want answered, you can vote for it to move it up the queue. Mike, you ready?
All ready to go. Okay, so the pitch, presenting and performing side of the Scale Up program is so important, especially with creative businesses who are in love with what they do. So passionate and so excited about all the different things. And the hardest part when it comes to presenting that, be that in the form of a pitch to raise money or get collaboration, or just in a networking event to seduce and create a conversation, is reducing all of that noise into something that's really digestible. Because we can go off on tangents all over the place. We can talk about 1,001 different things, why we lose sleep every night and are so hungry for what we do, but actually getting it to succinct 5-minute presentation pitch, which is part of this program, is so difficult at first. And then on top of that, over this cohort, changing it to presenting it via Zoom. So now you're presenting through a lens the size of a fingernail, trying to engage and connect and do all the things we talk about having the right lighting, smiling sweetly and talking with lots of tonality and range and energy and all of these things. And it's just so difficult, but it's not with the practice. And that's been, with some of the organizations through this cohort, has been so much fun. And the energy and enthusiasm, as you can tell from me, I could go on, I won't. But these guys have got it all. They're really stepping up. I'm so pleased with some of the information and some of the products that are coming forward.
Awesome. And I think where we've worked really well together, Mike, is you've worked really, really strongly on the pitching and everything. And I've spent a lot of time talking with businesses about what business they're in and particularly focusing on why their customers are buying from them, why people come from them. Because when you're so in the thick of your business as a creative entrepreneur, you're so focused on what you do and being the best at what you do, you often forget why customers come to you and why you're adding value or creative vision or whatever you're doing for that business. So I spend a lot of time with the marketing workshops and with the mentoring, helping businesses to find that why and really connect and find customers that really value what they can offer. And that's a large part of that. And also, we look at the network side of things and the network opportunities that this kind of program provides, because not only is it informational knowledge, it's also about all of the people you meet and all of the businesses I've been engaged in. Many of them I've introduced into people in my networks, and they've absolutely flown and found really great collaborations and partnerships and doing deals. And you forget that soft kind of halo effect and that value comes with this program. And I think that's one of the really special things that I've seen. Not only is it plugged into the West Midlands ecosystem, it's plugged into international ecosystems through the trade missions with Malta and everything else, which I know Malcolm will talk about, but it's just plugged in through that and plugged in through this huge amount of expertise on the team. So I'm really excited to be able to support that. And I think you see how it's already joining up. But back to you, Jordan.
Thank you so much, Alison. It's really interesting what you say there, Mike, about pitching over Zoom and peering into a little webcam. There definitely is a whole other skill level there compared to standing in a room and pitching, and you've got to think about your background and things like that. So it's really great that this program has provided people with a way to kind of learn those skills through the mentorship and workshops and things that Creative
It's not natural. That's the problem. Yeah. It's not a natural way of doing it.
No, I, having recorded television from home, I can tell you, I know exactly what you mean. So let's turn to some of the people from Cohort 2 then, who we've got joining in this discussion. Layla, Sundragon is this community pottery based in Birmingham. What kinds of networks has this program opened up for you?
Well, first of all, I'd say Kate Hollingsworth, who's a great photographer. The work she's done with us during the last few months, I mean, we had to deliver a box to her, a socially distanced box, so she could take some photographs, and they're great photographs.
Yeah, I've seen some of them in the video. They look gorgeous. I wonder how many other people in Cohort 2 Kate is going to do work for by the end of this year. I'm already thinking, the next time I need headshots, I know where I'm going to go. Malcolm, how about you? How have the networking opportunities impacted the capacity for Hollywood gaming to scale up?
Yeah, great question. I think Alison already alluded to those networking opportunities with the trade missions. For me, the kind of concept of doing an international trade mission by Zoom was a bit of an anathema, but I just couldn't see how that was going to work. But we did the Malta trade mission. I'm actually traveling to Malta next week, so I'd say that's gone exceptionally well. We're looking at setting up a kind of a creative tech studio in Malta. So that's been amazing. The trade mission to Seattle, I thought, was utterly fantastic. How technically that worked on Zoom, I have no idea, but credit to those people who managed to do it. And that's put me in touch with various different people, in particular, one absolute industry expert from HTC, who make the Vive headset in VR. So, I'd never have been able to get hold of that person, individually. So, yeah, those trade missions, utterly outstanding.
That's amazing. I love the HTC headset. I've been using one recently. They're very, very good. Can you tell us a bit more about these virtual trade missions? Because I think maybe some people who are watching might not understand what you mean by that. What was the experience like?
It's an opportunity for various, in the case of the trade mission to Seattle and the sort of Pacific Northwest, that was an opportunity for those people at a governmental level and the various industries who were based there to be able to explain what was available in that particular region for companies who might want to either collaborate or indeed actually even look at moving their businesses over to Seattle. And there were some real luminary companies on there, so Microsoft, Amazon, not your kind of everyday little SMEs. So fantastic quality of speakers. And then that broke down into different workshops. So you could explain, your business and what you were looking to get out of that particular region. So, I'm still in touch with that guy from HTC. We talk a lot, and I've also hooked into the university in Seattle. So they've been sharing potential businesses that we could collaborate with. So it's a fantastic way of networking and doing business.
Oh, excellent. Alison, I don't know if you can see this in the chat, but we've got people shouting out your book, saying that it's amazing. So I thought we should mention that. If you want to quickly explain what the book is about and how it helps creative businesses and freelancers.
Yeah, oh, thank you, Jordan. I wasn't expecting to go on to this, but thank you. Yeah, so I just wrote the book because I saw an opportunity to really help freelancers and, build up their knowledge of how to work on their business, because we're so focused when we're creative entrepreneurs in doing what we do well and improving that. And really, whether you're a freelancer or a creative entrepreneur, it's that working on the business side of things that's really often the most challenging. And that's where programs like this come in. When you're established and you're looking to scale up, the book was written as a reaction to that lack of information aimed at freelancers. But that's what I support in all of the work I do, and it's really around focusing on how to help people transform that creative idea into a business reality. And I think everything we're going to hear today and everything we've heard already really supports the success that this program's taking people towards.
Awesome. I just thought we should mention it since people were bringing it up in the chat. Mike, I'm going to come back to you again in a sec, but I just wanted to remind people that you can put questions in the Q&A box if you have anything that you want to ask either Layla or Malcolm or Mike or Alison or any of the other people that we've got speaking today. Just type them in the Q&A box. Let me know who the question is for, and I will read them out for you. Mike, for people who are considering maybe becoming part of this program in future, what kinds of things can they expect to take away from specifically the pitching and networking part of it? What's kind of the biggest thing that you see businesses taking away from this?
The big one is the ability to communicate clearly and succinctly what they actually do. Because a lot of the time the conversation is around their cleverness and their what they created, the thing that they've fallen in love with for, it might be the whole lifetime and now it's coming to fruition, or it's just something that's happened over the last while. But that business, that ability to actually turn the ideas into something that's clear and tangible, and then also got a business attached to it. So whether they be just getting going, or whether the business has been going 15 plus years, it's just taking it to that next level of having the ability to communicate exactly what it is you do so that people can get it. And I know it sort of sounds like a lame response just saying to get it, but so often some of the businesses we've been talking to when we first talk say, so what do you do? Explain to me how the business works. And it's not there. It's not clear. It's not concise. And there's no way a potential investor, be that adding cash or collaborative partners or future employees or non-exec support, all of these are different types of people that can be introduced and connected to through the program, that then as a result of that will help the business scale up. Anybody thought that was the name of the program for some reason?
And Mike, I
Thank
think
you very much.
an injustice there, because what I hear as well from people who you've worked with is confidence in their ability to believe in themselves and what they're saying. So yes, you've helped them get the words right, but you've given them the confidence to go out there with oomph and positivity to really close those deals. And those two, for me, it's those two things that go together.
Yeah, thank you for that. The key part is comfort and confidence, because you've got some people who can portray confidence, but they're absolutely doing whatever on the inside and hating every moment of it. And there's no magic cure here for communication speaking, be that 1-to-1, 1-to-1,000 through a Zoom link, whichever. No matter how you dress it up, I'm sure every panelist and everybody speaking today has got an element of nerves going on before they start speaking, because that's human nature. That's totally natural. It's how we use that as a strength so that we can portray comfort and confidence, and then people want to get closer to us, potentially invest in us or get to know us better because of the way we come across. Get that wrong and it takes a bit of time to win that back. Get it right from the off and the conversation starts so much quicker.
In just a minute, I've got a question for Fiona that I think I'll throw to before we move on to the next videos. But before we do that, Layla and Malcolm, but we'll start with Layla. When it comes to the actual pitching side of thing, as Mike has been explaining about the kind of confidence of explaining what it is exactly you do, have you found that you've been better able to explain Sundragon to people, Layla?
I feel like I'm able to explain myself better. Yeah, just because it comes from you as an individual. If you're having to communicate about other businesses, you need to have the confidence to say it.
Absolutely.
And if I could just jump in and say, I think, Mike's correct in terms of, portraying who you are as a business. He can't tell you what to say. We know that way better than Mike, but it's giving you those tools, giving you that little bit of extra help to allow you to get your concept across. And for us as a creative tech company, that's actually quite a difficult thing to do. And if I could just add, I would say that the whole Zoom environment for pitching is really alien to somebody like me, who's very used to pitching in a fireside type environment. It's a fireside chat. You've already lined that person up. It's making sure you can then close that particular deal. It's really hard to go back to old-fashioned pitching, standing up and presenting, and to do that on Zoom is really hard. So, it is essential you use mentors to help you through that particular process.
Excellent. And we've just had a question from the audience, so I'm going to throw this to Mike from Sandra Collins. Any tips for replicating or replacing the usual face-to-face networks that we might have enjoyed pre-lockdown, like business events and things like that?
I think on an ongoing basis, we're going to have to get used to a hybrid format. There will be a lot of Zoom, Teams, whatever going forward. In the same way as going to a networking event where you turn up, there are certain places where you feel like it is your pond, it's your tribe. You walk in and it smells right. Just the energy is great, and you feel like you belong. It's the same on the Zoom environment. I'll be honest, obviously we can only see those of us panelists on the call at the moment, but I know for a fact that at least 50% of the people watching at the moment are on their second screen or their phone or whatever it is. So it's when we tune in and out the whole time, as you do on Zoom. So it's in a networking environment, it's getting into a place where the energy is right, people are interacting, the conversations, it's short and it's sharp. 3 hours of Zoom is a long time to be sitting in one place. So it has to be really punchy. And again, it's where you feel comfortable, where you feel like you belong, and people are actually listening, they're interacting, the notes have been taken, they're acting on the suggestions and the connections. That's what really works. If the smell's not right, run away and just jump on another one. Oh, sorry, my connection just timed out. Whatever it happens to be, just go and find somewhere where you feel more comfortable and you can have the fun.
Well, hopefully that won't happen here, because we've still got lots of people chatting. So people seem to be networking just fine at this event, which is great. Probably helpful that it's only 90 minutes and not 3 hours, as you point out, Mike. I've got a quick question for Fiona, actually. So I think we'll switch to that, moving on from the panel. So I'll just thank Mike and Alison and Layla and Malcolm for talking with us. And then I've got a question for Fiona, which is from Joe Ind. Is the program open to sole traders, Fiona?
Not, it's a bit of a treat, because we are a scale-up program, so we are looking for businesses with ambitions to scale and you know are of a certain size. What I would say is have a chat with me. If you're not quite right at the moment, we do have a number of other programs that we work in partnership with, so we'll certainly be able to help you in some capacity, and that's what we'll look to do.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Fiona. As a sole trader, happy that someone is speaking on our behalf. Okay, so next up, we've got some more videos for you to enjoy. So these ones really demonstrate the diverse kind of range of businesses that we have in Cohort 2, including one business that we just heard from. So check out Sundragon Pottery, Nolan PR, and Mockingbird Film.
I'm Layla, I'm from Sundragon Pottery. We're based in Birmingham and we are open to the public and we have classes as well. We knew we wanted to grow, but we weren't quite sure how. You know how you go down a bit of a rabbit hole on the internet, you know, and you start looking for stuff, found out about the Scale Up program just by accident. I think the website could have been a bit better. It doesn't tell you how amazing it is. The idea for the pottery boxes came about because of COVID-19. We wanted to make sure that pottery was still accessible to people, and Warwickshire County Council funded it. We've been working with vulnerable adults and children, and it is just so that people can have a go, something to focus on during this time. We met Kate Hollingsworth on the programme, who's a photographer. She's taken photographs of our pottery boxes. We've never had photographs that good, and it's just going to help us with our marketing. I have done quite a few workshops on the Scale Up programme. I was told that I've done more workshops than anybody else. So I've filled a couple of notebooks. There's been so many moments where I'm like, oh my God, that's amazing. It's changed my life.
Hi, I'm Mike Nolan.
I'm Tracy Nolan.
And we run Nolan PR, which is a traditional public relations agency here in Solihull. We deal a lot with the legal sector. We also deal in health.
A few years ago, we started Press Plugs, which is a journalist request service. We matchmake journalists with business owners and PR professionals. And because we're really passionate about helping smaller businesses to tell their story.
As soon as I heard about the Creative Scale Up programme, I just thought it sounded absolutely brilliant, and straight away I knew that we had to do it really. It's been like an Aladdin's cave of just brilliant stuff. We've learnt about things like GDPR, about pricing.
We've had one-to-one mentoring with business brains we couldn't imagine even getting close to. It's been fantastic.
The only way businesses can develop is by getting more and more education, And this gives really sort of laser focus education. It really helps you if you're in the creative industry.
We're really excited about the future. We've been able to scale up during lockdown. The expertise on the programme has allowed us to do that. So thank you, programme. You know, the future looks really good and really positive and exciting. If you're thinking of applying for a programme, it's an absolute no-brainer. Go for it, it'll really make a difference to your creative business.
My name is Ben Keane. I'm the co-owner of the production company Mockingbird Film Co. based in Stourbridge. We are a film production company specialising in multiple areas with an emphasis on film and TV and music videos. When I first heard about the Scale Up programme, it sort of perked my ears up because the programme allows you to be introduced to investors. So we got introduced to this particular investor and he's actively interested in investing into Mockingbird Film Co. and especially one of the films on our current slate, which we're over the moon about. The reason the Creative Scale Up programme works for us is very much the mentoring. Big shout out to John Holmes. He comes from a creative background, so he understands the business and he understands how to speak to people like us who've got a bit of a strange way of looking at the world sometimes. The future for Mockingbird Film Co is exciting, it's bright. We plan to become a Midlands-based powerhouse production company as we keep growing our film and TV slate. If you run a creative business, I implore you to get involved in this fantastic programme.
Amazing. Really love those videos, and looking at the chat, seems like everybody else is liking them as well. We've had lots of positive comments about the videos in general and the specific ones that we showed just there. And I am glad that we have been able to provide Layla with another notebook that she can fill up with notes. So the next discussion is definitely an important one. This one covers all things legal. So we've got things like IP and contracts and things like that. So we are joined by our legal team for this one. We've got David Hall and Faye Lyttle from Mills Reeves, and two businesses that they have worked with from Cohort 2, which is Matt Weston from Stones Throw Media and Denise Taylor from Wild Connections. Before I hand over to them, remember, you can type your questions into the Q&A box, and when you do, let me know who the question is for. And if you see another question that you want answered, then vote for it and it will move it up the queue. So, David and Faye, over to you.
Jordan, thank you ever so much. I must say that everybody had the pleasure of the warmth and the blue skies over summer when they appeared, but we had the lovely delight of engaging with the great fun Cohort 2 and the enormous energy that Mike was referring to. It was such good fun working with them, particularly through the workshops, but also with the other support that we gave them. As you say, we delivered a really wide range of legal know-how. IP was just part of it. We saw in the last set of videos that GDPR reared its ugly head as well. But luckily, salvation for us all, we did a full workshop on intellectual property in the context of contracts. So IP is perhaps a particularly important part because, well, why is it key? Why is it important? If you think about the creative sector and what they do, what they're good at and what they love doing, it's IP in its essence, it's intellectual property. And what we see and we love is the photos and the products and the technology that results from these marvelous creative ideas and businesses. But until you come on the program, you might not actually recognize that what you've created is a legally recognizable asset. It's something that has capital value and that your accountant should take notice of. It's something that you may be able to make extra revenue out of, in addition to the charges that you're used to asking your customers to pay. You can make licensing revenue and things like that. And you can exploit IP and get revenue from it over a much longer period than the time it takes you to make it. You also may not be aware until you actually engage with a program like this of what your rights are and how you can protect them. And how you can set yourself up to make sure that you can rely on those rights to the max. it's also really important you learn on a program like this to make sure that you, just as you are providing your IP, your precious productions, you need to make sure that when you're using other people's intellectual property, you have their permission and you have the right permissions from them so that you can do business. Part of the support that we provided was through workshops, as I've said, and that was a highlight from my summer. I didn't get much of the blue sky outside, but I got the sunny faces of the cohorts and the light bulb moments that have been described just going off in front of my eyes or over the phone when we were doing things telephonically earlier in the summer. Part of the support that we also provided was totally outside of the workshops, inspired by the conversations that we had, but it was about doing some legal deliverables, doing IP and contracts, creating some IP licenses or moving that IP asset around the place. So I'm going to hand over to Faye, who was particularly involved in that part of our contribution, to say a little bit about that.
Hello everybody. So I joined Mills and Reeve in March, which was just at the start of the lockdown, which was an interesting moment. But prior to that, my specialism was in franchise law. So those guys, the big franchisors, are the absolute experts in exploiting their intellectual property, branding and know-how. What's been amazing for me is to be involved with businesses who are towards the beginning of their journey and really helping them to be able to learn about intellectual property and how to exploit it. So I've gone from one end to the other, just to let you have some examples of the things that we've done. We've created deeds of assignment of intellectual property. So if you wanted to use someone else's intellectual property, their copyright, for example, then that would enable you to buy it off them. We've done some licensing, so if you created something spectacular, then you can charge people for them to be able to use that, and you retain the control and the ownership over it. And we've also we've advised on terms and conditions, and I'm sure that Morton will be dealing with pricing later on, but certainly the way or the type of intellectual property that you sell under your terms and conditions can affect how much you can charge for that. So it's been amazing to help these your small businesses on their journey, right at the outset, and in terms of preparing the documentation and helping you understand what to do with it.
Amazing. Thank you so much, David and Faye. I just want to shout out a comment that I've just spotted in the chat that caught my eye from Marianne Taverner, who says, IP has been my fave eye-opener of the programme. So there you go, big fans of IP all around. So Matt and Denise, we've got from Cohort 2 who are joining this discussion. I'll start with Matt. Matt, you've been looking into IP while you've been in the programme. So how has that been going for you?
Yeah, well, I think just to say, we came into the programme right at the start of lockdown, and just wanted to say thanks to the team for delivering it, because I think it was a perfect time with so much uncertainty, and a really excellent time to, it's always good to work on the business, but it was an even more perfect time because of so much uncertainty in the world. So yeah, thanks to everybody for that. But yeah, the IP workshop, I have to say, David knows what I'm about to say. I don't want to upset him, but I came into the IP workshop thinking, I'm not sure if this is for me, this is, it's lots of long words and jargon and serious contracts and stuff, and how relevant is it to us was the main thing, because we make videos and animations, and it's really, generally speaking, for other businesses to use. But I think that the great thing about the IP workshop was that David took it from all this jargon and difficult to understand topics, and really broke it down so that people like me could understand, and all the light bulb moments are going off about, oh, actually, there's some relevant things here for us. And it kind of happened at a perfect time, because one of our customers is a very large, well-known sports brand in the UK and the world, and we're in discussions about making an animated TV series to release across the world. And I think before we came into this program, the old way we would have gone about this is just said, well, this is how much it's going to cost. Great, we've done it. Thanks very much. And after these discussions, and it's still an ongoing process, but David and the team there are helping us to really nail down lots of contracts and ways that this can be beneficial for everybody going forward, and how we can really exploit the IP. And I honestly didn't ever think it would be something that would be relevant for us at all. So, but yeah, I think the learning is going into all of these things with a complete open mind. And yeah, honestly, the opportunities are scary, really, but in a good way. So yeah, it's been, you know, eye-opening.
We've got people congratulating you in the chat, Matt. So thank you very much for your input there. Denise, you have been developing a new area of Wild Connections. How has this legal side of things played into that for you?
Came at the right time. But first of all, I'd just like to say thank you for such a fantastic program, because I've attended so many workshops and they've all been great, and all the support we've had has just been amazing. David's workshop was actually longer than 3 hours, and not a minute was wasted. And I just sat there thinking, oh, great, this is just amazing stuff going on. We've developed the new area of our business is developing online learning programs. We do a lot of marketing strategy, and we're making a move into sustainability, and we support companies with their success and growth through doing marketing strategies and moving into that. And so the online learning part of it had a big IP component to it, because we have contributors who write courses for us, and we needed to protect not only Wild's IP, but also the contributors' IP, and that's quite a complex area. And during that workshop, it became very, very clear to me how complex that is, but then how we could resolve it. And we went on from that then, and had some one-to-one support from David and his team, and from Faye, who spent quite a bit of time with us working through our deeds of assignment for when we want to purchase any courses outright. And then also looking at the IP contracts for our contributors. So we've got all that pinned down now. So we're kind of, the lockdown gave us a transition period to do a lot of development work, and we're kind of ready to go now. So this all came at the right time.
Lots of praise for the legal side of things and the workshops.
Yeah, really good.
Yeah, we've also got Tim Sharp in the chat saying, I must get my one-to-one sessions booked in with David. So I don't know if you grab your notebook, write that down, make sure you remember to do that. David, what is it? I mean, it sounds like, you know, from what Matt was saying there, maybe people come into the legal sides of things expecting not to find something that's relevant to them, maybe even, dare I say it, expecting to be a little bit overwhelmed or even bored by the jargon. So what's kind of the biggest misunderstanding you think people have about all of this?
Probably just that, actually. The law is tedious because it's full of common sense, and although it's called common sense, we maybe need reminders of what it is, because common sense is quite a big and wide thing, isn't it? And so is the law. No, it's designed to be engaging and to be relevant. We thought at the beginning, what is the thing that every business will need to engage in? And the answer is, well, contracts. You want to sell some because you want to make some revenue from your customers and your licensees, and you're going to have to enter into contracts with your suppliers as well. So let's use contracts as a centerpiece, because everybody should be familiar with them, and if they're not already, they need to be now. And we can deal with all of these great big business topics. They're not just legal topics, they're business topics in the context of thinking about contracts. So let's talk about pricing as a topic with other workshop leads, but also how to deal with pricing in a contract, including cash flow management. Let's talk about IP, let's talk about data, and let's talk about marketing and liability as well, we cover in the workshops. So we don't take a fusty approach. It's not about case law and jargon. It's about, okay, what do I need to know as a business person? What are the key concepts that are going to make me money, or bigger margins, or rip some risk out of my business and help me to make a better case to investors. Because ultimately, that's what we're trying to achieve in the program. We're trying to make you good for an investor so they're impressed, because they are going to check you out, including your contracts. And if you brushed your teeth and combed your hair using my brush and my comb, the investors will at least be pleased with your contracts and your knowledge of legal topics. It helps you to manage your business better. Why wouldn't you do that?
Thank you so much, David. Maybe Faye can answer this question that we had from the Q&A, which is from Helga Henry. It's about IP. What is the most common pitfall or mistake that early growth businesses make in relation to IP? Helga also had a follow-up, which was about how can you guide people to knowing the difference between an idea, which is not protectable, and those things that are protectable. So a lot to chew on there, but Faye, what do you think?
Fine. So from my perspective, and David, feel free to disagree with me, but the biggest mistake is not realizing that it exists. So actually, by having an idea, you start to already gain copyright protection in relation to that idea. And so from the moment you conceive the idea, you might not be able to register it as a brand at the Intellectual Property Office, but you need to start thinking about how you can assert your rights over that copyright from the moment that you have the bright idea. So number one, recognizing that it exists, and number two, to be honest, lawyers have a reputation for being boring, and you don't really want to pay the money to have to protect things from the outset or understand what you're doing. And so it's not uncommon to see people who've developed intellectual property, and then a year down the track they haven't thought that much about it and somebody else is using their idea. So really thinking about it from the very start and understanding that there is a value in investing in protecting it from the beginning, as boring as it sounds, or as unwilling as you might feel in terms of spending the money and the time in doing that.
And just in case you're sitting there thinking, well, I know what my IP assets are. I make them day in, day out. One of the light bulb moments that we had, Denise, was actually finding an IP asset that you didn't know was lurking. And we learned a little bit about how to identify that asset and how to look after it, nurture it.
Yeah, that was the database rights. So I knew about databases and I knew there was some kind of IP in that, but I hadn't heard the term database rights in quite the way you explained it in the workshop, and that was a balance sheet asset. So I was like, yeah, that was quite a light bulb moment for me, and then gave me, talking about investors and how you take the business forward and having everything in place and knowing that you've also got those database rights, you've suddenly got something really special there. And yeah, that was really good. That was light bulb moment.
If anyone else is hoping to have those light bulb moments, we've got people saying in the chat that they are sad that they missed out on the legal workshops. Well, Cohort 2, you can still attend the workshops. Apparently more info will be coming your way. So I'm sure, David, you'll have even more fans.
Definitely worth it.
Oh, thank you so much.
Even in the autumn.
More sunshine. Thank you so much, David, Faye, Matt, and Denise. We are going to move on to some more videos now. So this time we have just two businesses, but they're very different businesses, and they're both based in the Coventry and Warwickshire area, which is where I am. So I'm very happy to introduce Hollywood Gaming and Vortex Creates.
I'm Malcolm, I'm a director of Hollywood Gaming. We're based in Meriden in Warwickshire. Our specialism is in creating fantastic effects for video games. We're trying to transition our business and move more into the immersive sector. We know what we wanted to do, but we realised we needed some support and help. We're building a studio that's an opportunity to be able to show exactly what we do. So when somebody's in VR, they can touch that rail, push that button, feel the floor move. It just makes it a more complete immersive experience. I think the program's been fantastic for us. The mentorship that we've received, the coaching. I've been on 2 virtual trade missions. meeting absolute experts in their field. The future's really exciting. I think without the Scale Up program, we'd still be looking at this in a year's time. Join this program. I'm the embodiment of you can teach an old dog new tricks.
I'm Nicola No, I'm not. No. I am. No.
Right. Cut and roll.
I'm Nicola.
And I'm Marianne.
And together we are Vortex Creates.
And we create joy.
We are a small company, but we produce big things. We do everything from transforming Victoria Square in Birmingham for the International Dance Festival.
We've put bows on hotels in Manchester.
We're not just Coventry girls, we travel all over.
Even as far as New Zealand.
Yeah.
Being in business for 10 years now, we were looking for that next level to propel ourselves into our next cycle of fabulousness. I've really got to grips with the intellectual property workshop. We are ideas people. We do it daily. We're visionaries. But I had never really thought about it as a business asset in terms of earning a revenue, and that we could productise our knowledge.
What we've really loved about the programme is such a diverse cohort. Some of the best things have probably come from just one of our fellow members saying, yeah, have you thought about this?
We're really excited about our future as Vortex Creates. The programme has pushed us different dimension, and we're really well placed within the city of Coventry with 2021 just around the corner next year, and it's left us feeling really positive about where the future of Vortex is going to take us. We're going up.
I love the video from Vortex Creates, and looking at the chat, I am definitely not alone. I do also want to shout out how glad I am to see gaming in the program as well. For those of you who don't know, one of my presenting jobs is the resident video games expert for the Gadget Show. So I'm really happy to see gaming in the program. And what Malcolm said about you can teach an old dog new tricks. You can teach an old dog new tricks. I think that's really crucial for this program because it's for anyone who wants to scale up. It doesn't matter how long you've been going. So I've watched all these videos already, and I had the privilege of hosting the showcase for Cohort 1 as well. And a topic that comes up again and again and again is value and pricing. And honestly, as a freelancer myself, I could probably benefit from a pricing workshop. So I'll have to look into that. Pricing and value, obviously important to any business, especially those that are scaling up. The program's pricing expert, Jenny Miller, couldn't be with us today, but instead we are joined by the wonderful Morten Patterson, who is a mentor on the program. And from Cohort 2 for this discussion, we have Bernie Griffin from Griffin Productions and photographer Kate Hollingsworth. If you have questions for any of them, remember to type them into the Q&A box, say who you are, where you're from, and who your question is for, and I will read them out for you. But now I'm going to hand over to Morten. Morten, are you there? Oh, possibly not.
Yeah.
You are there?
Yes.
Okay. There you are. Hi there, you doing okay?
I'm fine. Okay. I needed a photographer to do some professional headshots for me. And he's been a photographer for several years, many years. And I asked him to give me his availability. He replied with an email to say, these are the days upon which I can meet you. No price. He then came back to me and said, I said, okay, that's fine, let's meet. He then sent an email to me to say, this is what I'm going to be offering you. And this is the time that we can meet. No price. So I said to my partner, I read her the email that he sent to me, and he says, hi, Morten, thanks for getting in touch. These are the things I can do. And as I was saying it to her, she kept saying, how much, how much, how much? Because there was no price. And so I called him and we spoke about it, and I said, I still don't know how much this is going to cost. And he said, yeah, I was in such a hurry to send the details to you that I didn't include the price for how much it was going to cost. And then he told me how much it was. And this is a typical problem that exists in businesses across the range, where they're very good technically, probably at what they do, but they struggle that they're afraid of losing the business. They think that it's going to be too high. In this case, in actual fact, I hope he's not listening in. I thought it was reasonable. Anyway, we've arranged the time for him to meet, and I realized that what happens with many businesses is they are so caught up in what needs to be done and whether the customer will accept the price, as opposed to the value of what was going to be done. I needed the headshots. I was more concerned in whether how the pictures would make me look. Do I need to shave? Do I need to cut my hair? You know, and professionally, would it make me look the way I wanted to look? I wasn't actually concerned about the price. And quite often, what businesses fail to do is do two things in my mind. One of them is they never ask enough questions to understand what is important to the customer and how much what they're looking for will be of value to them. They're more wrapped up in whether that price will be sufficient. The other thing that they do is they don't offer packages for their services. Quite often they present just one price, which in my mind and my experience in working with so many businesses, the client has a choice as to whether it's a yes or a no. So what I often say is you have to quote it to win it. It's as simple as that. Thank you.
Amazing. What a great catchphrase to end your chat with. Kate, let's go to you. How has your pricing strategy changed while you've been on the Scale Up program?
Guessing I need to unmute first. The sessions with Jenny were great. Sorry, Morton, I didn't get to meet with you, but Jenny really, I could have gone and listened to Jenny 3 or 4 times over. In fact, I probably did. It got to the point where I think Jenny was saying, I think you've been on this one, Kate. You need to stop. But every time I went to hear her, we were on Zoom or in person, I learned something new. And she was just great at saying, I don't even want to look at your photos. I just know you're doing the wrong pricing. It's not about that. It's about everything else that, you know, as a creative, we can be terrible at saying, well, it's only a camera. Anyone can pick up a camera, come on. And she was like, no, you have to think about all the years you've studied, everything else that goes in, your personality, that goes into making a beautiful picture. So yeah, she really helped me see the value in what I was providing. And working with her and working with BD, with Bart, I've just learned to, every time I hit a few levels, every time someone's paid my price a few times, I pop it up again. And because I was hilariously low to begin with. I was having a conversation with somebody the other day and I hardly covered my own petrol. So yeah, it's learning to value yourself and learning that actually, because even though you're a creative, it doesn't mean you can't, you know, charge what you're worth. You can't afford to pay your mortgage just because what you do is a photograph. It doesn't make it any less valuable.
Is that very common then, Morton, that creative people undervalue themselves?
Absolutely. It's common because I think in the main, they're very caught up in the creativeness there, the beauty of what they're creating, and think that the pricing or the fees or whatever is not important. And sometimes at the core of it, there's an emotional issue around their relationship with money. So even though you're a creative, you could be across any industry. The thing is, it's quite often their personal relationship with money, and it depends on your conditioning. So a key part of it is your own personal beliefs, your belief system, and also your relationship with money. So it's a very common thing with creatives, absolutely.
I can believe it. Bernie, let's come to you. So you've got a production company, always pitching for work. How do value and pricing come into things for you? What's that process like for you?
It's interesting, really. I mean, I have been reminding myself of the phrase reassuringly expensive when putting some packages together, because sometimes you kind of realize that when a client asks for a project, this is just what it costs. And on top of that is the value that we bring in terms of our experience, the crew that we bring together, and just, you know, enhancing the creative output. And so, yeah, there's added value, as well as, you know, the service that you go the extra mile just to to please yourself as well as the client, actually. But yeah, pitching is always tricky. I've kind of adopted a slightly different strategy to our old model of a straightforward quote, this is what you asked for, this is the price. There is still that, obviously, but we're looking at a model where we actually offer kind of a good, better, best package of options, if you like, that makes, more often than not, gives you the opportunity to upsell to the best package, because nobody wants to be seen as a cheapskate and just scraping by with the cheapest item. So yeah, there's been lots of things. There's also, the information that you're given just reassures you that actually, I do know what I'm doing with pricing structure. And that thing that I do by marking up what I buy in by X%, there's a name for that, and it's just called business. Yeah, it's I mean, I have enjoyed the pricing workshops. I thought that I knew it, not all, but I thought that I knew enough. But I think these extra little tools will just actually help grow our value proposition all the more, and hopefully that will add up to pound sterling in the bank.
Reassuringly expensive is a phrase that I am going to have to remember. Thank you for teaching me that. Look, I'm learning things from this program and I'm not even part of it. Lots of people talk about pricing. As I said at the beginning, it comes up again and again and again and again. Let me see, we've got some comments here. Amrit says it's also down to the creative educational sector, which are terrible at talking about this kind of thing openly. Have you come across that, Morten? Do you think it comes right from education as well?
Absolutely. I think that one of the core things is people are quite often, when you're trained, you're focusing on becoming technically proficient, and you're not focusing on the business aspect, because that's a completely different part of it. It's like if someone is an employee or someone knows about running a business, employees approach businesses very, very differently compared to someone who's learned how to run a business and they must actually make a profit. Sometimes you think, oh, I just love doing the work and I love creating the picture or whatever, and that is not a business. That's almost like a hobby. So education is key, and I think the mentoring, which is why this program is so great, the mentoring that teaches you, how and what's important is actually really critical.
I was interested in what Bernie said there about packages, because I saw this in a couple of the videos, I think, this idea of expanding to offer different pricing packages. Is that something that you think most creative businesses can use?
I wouldn't only relate it to creative businesses, but if we're speaking about creative businesses, yes. What happens though is a business will go in and they might have a package, as I understand. Jenny sounds like she's excellent. They might have created packages, and you have a set of packages, let's just say gold, silver, and bronze. Because of their belief system, because they're afraid that the customer might reject it, they start at the lowest price of that package. And in actual fact, what they should consider is offering the most expensive one and let them say no to that. But we make our mind up about what we think the client can afford to pay. So packaging also gives the customer the option as to say, which one is for me, as opposed to it's a yes or a no. So it's a great way to start.
Kate, you said that you were definitely undervaluing yourself at the beginning, and presumably you have upped your prices since then. Have you seen, what kind of reaction have you had to that with your customers?
It's been interesting because people are still booking me, clearly. I've never been busier. And also lots of people have been lovely when I've chatted to them, and I've done because I've been changing the way I work, and often I've done work with people recently. I'm doing about branding and business photography now, and then they've said to me afterwards, by the way, the service you're offering is still probably too cheap. So if customers are telling you you need to put your prices up, then you definitely do.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Kate. Remember, if anyone in the audience has questions, I know you're all chatting in the chat, but if you can type your questions into the Q&A box, then I can read them out. Helga is saying, I'm always amazed how many times my clients take the gold package that I send thinking they will never go for that. Is that an experience that you've had, Bernie? That people are going for the most expensive package?
I'd say it's a mixture. I think there's an element of, I just put in the chat actually about a whole money mindset thing in terms of, Morten, you're right, there's an element of, oh, I daren't possibly say that because, well, they pay it. So getting over that initial self-sabotage, yes. Basically, if you send the high price, because that's what the value of the job is, more often than not, it's, oh, let's see if we can stretch the budget. So yeah. And actually, sorry, just talking about budget, one thing that I remember from the workshop that I did was actually, don't go in when you're asking questions. More and talked about actually ask the right questions to ascertain where the value of this project is going. Don't ask what the budget is up front. That's actually not the most important question at the top of the conversation. You will get there, obviously, just through asking the right qualifying questions. So. And yes is the answer to your question, Jordan.
Thank you so much. Alison just said in the chat, oh gosh, I've got to scroll. People are talking so quickly. Alison says, I always listen out for the sharp intake of breath when I quote. If I don't hear it, I think I've left money on the table. So that's a good thing to remember as well. Just before we move on, Morten, I wanted to ask, it just occurred to me, we talk about creative people undervaluing themselves. We also have people on this chat from marginalized backgrounds, so people who are underrepresented in business. Do you think those kinds of people are also more likely to undervalue themselves? And if so, what can they do to help?
Absolutely, I think they are. I think I would answer it this way, in a sense that it's the environment that you've gone in that contributes to your beliefs, and that impacts how you do the business. So whether you're from a marginalized background or not, one of the ways in which you could do something about it or improve yourself, I think, is to probably sign up with your program or to read books on how to improve their sense of self-belief. The core of pricing, in my experience and value, is believing in yourself. Quite often it's because you don't think that you're worth it and you don't think that you're good enough. It starts there. If you believe in yourself, you'll then have the courage to recognize the value that you bring, which then means that you're going to ask for more, and you won't think that it's almost a gift that they're actually working with you, as opposed to you deserve to be there, and you're helping a customer to focus on how much better off they will be in the end, as opposed to the work that you'll be doing. People do not focus on what the value is at the end. So in marginalized background, yes, and that might be because of their environment and how they've grown, but there are ways out of it.
Amazing. Good to know. We've just had a quick question come in the Q&A just in the last minute there. So I'll read this out, maybe for you, Morten. Stuart Baird says, any tips to deal with nerves about rejection on price?
They're rejecting what you're presenting. So if you're offering just one price, you might consider offering a set of prices, which will reduce the opportunity for rejection. Also, look at the questions that you're asking. Questions gives you the answer. If you're just going in there and just offering a price, then you might increase the possibility of a rejection. Prevent packages, which is a set of options of your pricing, but also spend a little bit more time asking just a couple more questions, which would probably be different to your competitor. That's what I would say.
Amazing. Thank you so much. I think we'll wrap that discussion there, but thank you so much to Morten and Kate and Bernie. We've got some more videos coming up now. So one of them features Kate, who we've just heard from Kate Hollingsworth Photography. And we also have Apex Pro Media and Jopia Productions.
I'm Kate. I run Kate Hollingsworth Photography and I'm based in Sutton Coldfield. I specialise in weddings and my passion is people. I've been running my business for quite a few years and I felt that I could really do with some help with the business side of it. So I'd been hunting around when the Scaler popped up and I thought, this looks amazing. I've loved the seminars. The tutors are brilliant. I've gone from having no one helping me to like 3 or 4 mentors. Before lockdown, 80% of my business was wedding photography, and clearly during lockdown, it all disappeared. The cohort definitely helped me make that pivot towards more business photography, and now I'm a brand and business photographer. The PR seminar was excellent. We were made to sit and write a little press release. I sent it off and I was published in the Shropshire Star, which has got me loads of inquiries and it's been brilliant. The future for my business is looking really good. I've still got the wedding side, but I've realised I love the brand photography side. I love helping small businesses tell their story and get a more visual presence online.
I'm Dan, I build, manage and enhance brands. We're based in Birmingham and the business is called Apex Pro Media. We manage and enhance the brand's digital profile, whether it be through content creation or building a new website. We cover just about any digital base that you might need. As a business, when you're trying to start out, you don't really know where to find people, who to talk to, but with Creative Scale Up, it was all right there. Workshop after workshop, every opportunity was a learning experience, and I feel like I've grown massively from it. Meeting the mentors has been so helpful. Mike Pagan's pitching session helped me massively. Figuring out exactly who you are, what you're trying to say, what you're trying to do, and why people should care is a really difficult thing to narrow down, but his 5 key points have really helped me. The fact that you don't have to pay anything to join it is ridiculous. You've got all this free experience, it's invaluable. My main takeaway from the program would be all the different connections I've made and the fresh insights on better ways to run a business and grow it in a creative industry. In 5 years' time, I'd like us to still be based in Birmingham, to have grown the team further and expanded our client list and seen how far we can really take the brand.
I'm Tony Jopier and I run Jopier Productions, and we're a production company. We specialize in on-air promotions, commercials and feature films. The Creative Scale Up is like a wonderful creative kitchen with lots of chefs, and everybody has the ingredients to really cook up an amazing dish. Everybody contributes and everybody brings it to life with their experiences and their knowledge. The workshops were great. It's almost a circus of creativity and really opened up some fantastic opportunities with other creatives. I would definitely recommend it to any business. It allows you to really get to know the best ethics out there, what you can learn from other people, and then apply that to have a healthier, more creative business. The program's been wonderful to give me the confidence to believe that I can take a project and make it realize in the Midlands, from professionals that can physically make it and the professionals to help me on a business level to make it happen. The future for Jopier Production looks very rosy. Since we went to the program, we've met professionals who've helped us to develop feature film projects. We've had 4 feature films commissioned. We've done television pilots and commercials with crews and talent from the Midlands.
More amazing videos there. I just wanted to quickly shout out something that's being talked about in the chat, which is that there is a Cohort 2 bullring pitch session on the 24th of September, and the link to that has been posted in the chat by Bart Dalton. So check that out if that sounds interesting to you. Louise Taylor says, I missed your video, Sun Dragon will watch later. The videos will all be available on YouTube and on LinkedIn, and I think you'll get a link in an email as well, so you'll definitely be able to watch all of those later. Everyone's really enjoying them, which is awesome. Hearing about the success of Jopier Productions in that last video as well leads us nicely into our next speaker. You know, getting 4 feature films commissioned and working with crews and talent from the Midlands is really awesome, and something that our next speaker will know something about, because we are delighted to be joined by Ed Shed. Ed runs Deloitte's North and South Europe Technology, Media and Telecoms practice. He's experienced in supporting growth and digital transformation programs in the TV, film, gaming,
I spoke to her and she was very nice, but she just
and
said,
publishing
"We
industry.
don't have
Somebody's
anyone
not on
available
mute,
for
I
restaurant
don't
care
think.
at the moment." She said, "If you were to say..."
Sorry. So yes, let me introduce Ed again. Ed runs Deloitte's North and South Europe Technology, Media and Telecoms practice. He is experienced in supporting growth and digital transformation programs in the TV, film, gaming and publishing industry. He is chair of Create Central, and I am being told he supports Aston Villa as well. So over to you, Ed.
Thank you very much. Sorry, that was me that wasn't on mute. So my broadband connection is terrible. So I'm in the kitchen. So I'm surrounded by people cooking and talking. So I've told them to get out.
Thank you very much.
So yes, I mean, I listened into that last session on pricing, and fascinating discussions and learnings for us all. I'd just like to kind of say 2 or 3 things about Creative Central, and then actually pick up on the pricing discussion, and then kind of leave you with a kind of rallying call if you like. So the first thing to say about Create Central is that we were formed, and we've been up and running for about 6 to 8 months now, because there were 3 big burning desires in West Midlands creative sector. We have one burning desire for a single point of entry into and out of the region. So when people are kind of talking to the creative sector, you don't have to talk to thousands of bodies. They can talk to one, and then you can get a nice direction to the relevant piece. Secondly, to turbocharge growth for the West Midlands creative sector, because we all realise we're doing some great things, but we could do a lot more. And then thirdly, to do what you're doing on this this program, actually, which is to collaborate and then go out and make an even bigger impact in the marketplace. And we keep coming back to 2 words when we talk about Create Central. We talk about remarkable, and we talk about tangible. And the remarkable piece is that I've always been, there's a guy called Seth Godin, who's a kind of digital marketing guru of 10 or 15 years back. And he always said, it's not good enough to be good. You have to be remarked upon. You have to be noticed by people. And so what we're trying to do with Create Central is make certain that people sit up and notice the West Midlands creative sector, both internally and also nationally and also globally. So that's the point about remarkable. And then secondly, on the tangible, it's so important that people can kind of touch and feel what's being done and what people are doing. And so hence our focus as Create Central in the growth plan that we've just developed and are starting to execute is a focus on skills into jobs. So the tangible bit there is jobs. On infrastructure, so whether or not it's building Mercian Studios, the creative content hub, plans for a VR studio in Digbeth, and so on and so forth, and influencing major events such as Coventry City of Culture and Birmingham 2022. I mean, when we launched our growth plan in July, we launched the Positive Realities Initiative, for instance, which was for people to tangibly build VR ideas, which would then be shown at City of Culture in the following year. So that's a bit about Create Central. And collaboration there is really, really, really important. And the more that we can do of it, the better. If I just then picked up on a couple of points that were stimulated by the pricing discussion that you've just had. I heard you talking about the fact that you need to avoid that initial self-sabotage when you're pricing. That you've got to start to learn to value yourself and understand your own value, and then actually sell your value. And that always brings it to mind the Ricky Gervais quote, and he always slightly annoys me, but nonetheless, it's quite an important thing to say. He talks about money, perhaps in a times you might think it's a kind of vulgar way, but he talks about the time when he got for one ad more money than his labourer dad had ever got in a year, and he said, I just had to get over that. I had to rejoice in it and not feel incredibly guilty that actually I was selling my value. And I think those points that you discussed on the pricing discussion, I think they definitely apply to each and every one of us, but they also apply to us in aggregate of the creative sector in the West Midlands. I think we've all got to believe in ourselves individually, and we've all got to believe in the West Midlands creative sector. And I think if there was one rallying call that I would give you just to leave behind is, feel confident in yourselves, collaborate and learn and share, and then simultaneously go out and evangelize. Go and evangelize about yourself, about your companies, about your products, about your videos, about your games, about your pottery, and in doing so, evangelize about the West Midlands creative sector, which is an absolutely fantastic sector. We've not done enough evangelising. We've not done enough beating our chests and just being confident in ourselves. And I think we've got every right to do so. So that was all I was going to say, and happy to answer any questions if there are any, and otherwise to move on.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Ed. I'm going to open it up to the audience for questions. If anyone watching has any, remember to type them in the Q&A box and I'll read them out, whether they're for Ed or for anyone else who's spoken today. I'll start there with a question for you, Ed. You talked there about needing to evangelise the West Midlands and kind of beat our chests about it. To help us out with that, what makes this region so great, especially in creative businesses? What gives us an advantage over other regions?
Well, so the advantage that we've got for now and the future is actually what used to be our disadvantage. So the West Midlands has got an amazing set of creative sectors that span, and I'll miss some out, but they will span TV, film, gaming, social media, creative agencies, photography, animation, production capability. I could go on and on. And historically, that meant we didn't have enough critical mass in each and every one of those. So if you go to Manchester, that's very much a TV-rich environment. And in truth, that's partly why we lost out on Channel 4, because we didn't have, great enough critical mass in that one particular narrow sector. But the world of today is driven by digital, and we've all seen what's happened in COVID. And the boundaries driven by hyperconnectivity between the media formats are starting to collapse. So people are starting to think about how you make TV and film using gaming theatre designs rather than tangible theatre designs. They're starting to think about bringing games together with TV, with social media, with digital marketing and transaction all in one go. And those are the skills that we've got in abundance in the West Midlands. Those are the skills that actually the other cities that are focused on narrow elements of the creative sector haven't got. So our disadvantage historically has become a massive advantage now and in the future.
That's amazing. And as somebody who works in television, radio, podcasts, video games, I'm happy to learn that I represent the West Midlands in a way by being such a varied worker, and something for all of us in our creative businesses to remember, I guess, when we are selling ourselves across the UK, come to the West Midlands, we have that variety that you're looking for. Thank you so much, Ed. That's really helpful. We don't have any questions for you just yet in the Q&A, but we do have one which I think Fiona is probably best placed to answer, which is from Mike Johnson asking, is Cohort 3 full, or can I recommend the programme to people still?
It is mostly full at the moment, Mike. Again, have an off-line conversation with me. We are just sort of finalising because we're literally about to start next week, but yeah, let's have a chat online and let's see who you've got in mind for Cohort 3.
Awesome. There we go. Things happening already, and excited to hear about the future of the program as well. We're all hoping for the best possible outcome. Well, this has been a fantastic event. Thank you so much to Ed for wrapping it up there for us so perfectly. And thank you to everyone else who has spoken today, and also to everyone working behind the scenes to make the magic happen. A reminder that if you want to watch any of those fantastic videos again, you can find them on YouTube and on LinkedIn. We'll also be posting a recording of this event. So head over to the LinkedIn page now, or at least when I finish speaking, maybe, which is the West Midlands Creative Scale Up Programme page. And there, I'm sure there will be people gathering to connect and chat with the other attendees. I will see you there. Thank you so much for joining me. Bye, everyone.